Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, good morning. My name is Anas Al-Mdefer. I'm the CEO of the Human Capability Development Program, one of the Saudi Vision 2030 realization program. I'm happy to be here today with my esteemed panelists discussing the human code. Uh, People are the heartbeat of the global economy, even as the economy increasingly embrace intelligent technology. In today's session, this is what it's all about: how people can um, thrive in the AI era. The human code is consisting of three main components. From birth, humans build their capabilities by connecting with depth with their surroundings, making sense of complex and complexity through reasoning, and finally seeking a sense for value and meaning within their communities. Intelligent technology is getting better and at doing these things every day. AI tools becoming easier to use, cheaper to acquire, and very harder to ignore. In this session, we will hear from our distinguished panelists, global leaders, about how intelligent technology can be adapted, not weaken the human connection, reasoning, and creations. Please join me in welcoming Her Royal Highness Princess Rima bint Bandar bin Abdulaziz, Saudi Ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Ahmed Al Khatib, Saudi Minister of Tourism, His Excellency Bandar Al Khrayef, Saudi Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, and Ms. Sadia Zahidi, the Managing Director at the World Economic Forum. Welcome. I'll start with you, Your Royal Highness. You've been a long life advocate for individuals, empowering individuals, especially youth and women, to connect with depth, to reason through complexity, and also to create meaningful value in the world around them. From your perspective, how has this intelligent age expanded or constricted the opportunities for human connections, reasoning, and creation?
Thank you for having me. So one of the things that I have observed in my work, whether it was with His Excellency when we started the Quality of Life program through the Ministry of Sports, or what I'm observing from the young people that from the kingdom come to Washington, D.C., our vision is not about technology first, AI and digital first. It's people first. So if you're people-centric, then you're using technology as a tool, as a resource, either to expedite workflows, to expedite innovation. But the true concept of innovation comes from the person. And so we are a human-centric vision. We are a people-centric vision, and not exclusively Saudi-centric. So it is how can we, as Saudis, use technology to benefit ourselves, our economy, our people, society, and citizens, and then positively impact the world. And that's what I have observed. I do need to flag for you, I am technologically incapable, and my team doesn't let me touch anything for that reason, but I like to observe it from a distance. But what I have seen is truly how Saudi is innovative, how we are human first. And if we lose that sense of humanity, ladies and gentlemen, we're lost across the board. Because this is a world for people, and if we lose our ability to keep it that way, then the challenges of the future are going to be worse than the challenges of today. Our humanity, our interconnectivity is what causes thriving populations and citizens. It's what creates thriving dialogue and narratives. And so I'm very proud to say that Saudi puts its people first, not technology first.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Human first. This is what Vision 2030 is all about. We'll move now to Your Excellency Al Khatib. Your Excellency, we have seen a very ambitious tourism strategy. We have seen a great growth in not only visitors, also in the workforce in the tourism sector and the supporting sectors around that. How can this increasing adoption in AI and intelligence technology impact this growth that we've seen in the kingdom?
Thank you, Anas, for having me. I do understand when technology is adopted in different industries, i.e. manufacturing or space or energy, but in travel and tourism, people are very important. We learn about other people's culture through interaction interacting with people. We are fighting to preserve the people and make sure that what we said, digitalize the unnecessary and humanize the necessary. I want to digitalize the airport services. When I arrive in any city, I just want to get out of the airport. I want to see the facial recognition and in the future, I want my luggage to be delivered to the hotel through a chip, etc. But when I arrive to a destination, to a hotel or to a restaurant I want to interact with people. I want to see the people serving us and interacting with us and sharing what is happening in the city. I've been to more than 120 countries. I enjoyed when the fisherman in Barbados told me the stories of Barbados, etc. I think people are very, very important in our industry, in the travel and tourism. Today, the industry employs about 1.6 billion people. 45% of those are women, and 80% are youth. For we don't want to replace this big workforce with technology. I think we need to protect them in Saudi Arabia, where we're being a model. I'm an advocate of keeping the people. Whenever I meet with the UN tourism or whenever I meet with the private sector, and I always advise them to really keep the people, train them, and let us learn from them whenever we travel to any destinations. In Saudi Arabia, for example, we are adding more than 200,000 key rooms in the next 6-7 years to host Expo, to host the FIFA World Cup in 2034. Without the right people, I think it will be very difficult for us to share with our guests when they come to enjoy Expo and experience the FIFA World Cup 2034 to learn about our culture. Jerry, for example, here at Diriyah is building 35 hotels. I'm always in fight with him. Make sure that you employ the young Saudis, and for them to meet with our guests and to share with our guests our great culture. And that's why the government committed to $100 million every year to train our young Saudis in the best institutions all around the world, and to build the new Riyadh School, which is the biggest school ever, to train the workforce that the Red Sea projects requires, or the Diriyah or the Qiddiya, where Qiddiya opened their doors last month with their first, biggest Six Flags theme parks that I invited all of you to come and experience. And therefore, we, with my colleagues in the UN Tourism, which is United Nations Tourism Agency, trying to map where should we digitalize and where should we protect, which job we should protect for people to perform. And therefore, it is a big challenge. However, we all have the intention to preserve the human and make sure that this great service, travel and tourism, is mainly provided by human.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Astonishing numbers. 80% of the tourism workforce are youth, 40% of them are females. This is really great. Another transformation story in the industry and minerals resources. Your Excellency, Bandar Al-Khrayef, how does the importance of developing human capability emerge in the era of artificial intelligence and smart factories?
Thank you, Anas, and good afternoon for everyone here. It's great to be here. But I think just to continue the story that Royal Highness and His Excellency has mentioned, I would like to start first of all with having the right attitude as a government. I think what His Excellency Ahmed mentioned is very important to differentiate between the kind of jobs that can be automated or advanced. I think in some countries, unfortunately, and we were talking before, have the wrong attitude towards the overall technology shift. But I think it's in Saudi, one of the things we really are very blessed with is the youth. And the youth contribute to a great deal of our population, and really that's an important asset. When I look at our resources, definitely we have great resources in terms of natural resources, oil, gas, petrochemical, and minerals. But I think the real resource that today is quite short everywhere, especially in developed countries, is the youth and the ability of this wealth to be converted into added value. And this is what we are trying to do in Saudi. I think what we have been able to achieve, and we can see this in the last few years, the evolution that we have seen from the transformation that we have seen in education, training, skilling and reskilling and the different capabilities, but also the adaptation of technology is also in our favor. Today, our youth are becoming more and more interested in jobs that are that have technology. Unlike tourism, for example, how can I interest some young people to work in mining unless we convert mining to be an industry, a sector that actually is interesting for young people? It will be very hard to do so. Same thing with manufacturing. One of the things we have seen also in the last 6 years is the ability of scaling down manufacturing capabilities, which was an issue in the past. In the past, industries only happened when there is a huge scale. Now with technology, you can actually become competitive, but with a great deal of reduction in scale, which makes more and more capabilities of industry happen. In mining, for example, it's we are lucky because we are starting our mining industry as part of Vision 2030. But we are starting in the right time, having the right attitude regarding how do we want to see mines to be, safer mines, more productive, more energy efficient. This is going to happen with technology. I was a few years back in Chile, for example, visiting one of the largest mining companies, Anglo America, in their headquarters in Santiago, and they are managing 2 mines that are 800 kilometers away from that, with just equipment. It reminds me of my son when he's playing his video games. This is the kind of also attraction to. But what is interesting also is that today what is happening in Saudi, it's a collective effort. Private sector cannot do it alone. You need connectivity in remote areas. You need training and skilling. You need the investment in the right technologies to ensure there is also sustainability, there is standardization. And I think it's very hard to find a country where you can find this ability to manage the system in a way that's both efficient, but at the same time allow people to contribute in the right way, as His Excellency have mentioned.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's great to see how mining have recently started with the Vision 2030, and today with the FMF and the effort that the ministry is doing, we are leading in so many fields. Now, if you allow me, we will zoom out a little bit. We will look at more of a global landscape on this. Different nations are, elevating uniquely human skills alongside AI. We've been discussing the adaptation of AI and how countries are evolving. Ms. Saadia, last January, the WIF published an article titled "How Can We Elevate Uniquely Human Skills in the Age of AI?" Over the past 12 months, since the article was published, what have been the biggest victories or challenges in that arena?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Royal Highness and Your Excellencies, for having me here. And welcome to our annual meeting in Davos. It's a pleasure to be with you. Perhaps zooming out, one lesson that we've learned over this last year is that predictions are useful, but it is perhaps more important to have foresight and to use scenarios to try to understand where things might go and then work backwards. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's take 2 very simple vectors. Let's take the vector around how quickly technology is integrated into economies, and let's take the vector around how quickly people become ready for those new economies. And where we end up is really going to depend on both of those vectors. So we could end up in a world with supercharged progress, where technology gives us all of those productivity dividends that we hope for, and at the same time, people are actually able to use that technology. We could end up in a world with slower technological progress, but where people are really invested in, and that leads to a sort of co-pilot economy where people are really in the lead. We could end up in a world where technology moves much faster than people can handle, and that would be a very negative consequence. And then, of course, we can end up in a world, which I don't think any of us want, which is where neither is there the technological-based progress nor the progress for people. So that's a very simplistic way of looking at this. And what we then try to do over the last year is work with business leaders and with government leaders to understand, one, what are the implications of those different scenarios? Two, which scenario do we actually want to be in? And three, what are the no-regret moves that you make today? And the single most important no-regret move for all governments, for all business leaders, simply goes back to investing in people. That's what will make everybody ready, and that's what will make the dividends from this intelligent age actually pay off.
Thank you, Sadia. Investing in people, I think, is the most common word from our panelists in the first part of the sessions. Now we'll move to you, Your Royal Highness. Now more than ever, the multi-generational teams where young people work alongside colleagues across the wide range of ages and experience. Have you noticed anything special, unique about how youth specifically engage with the intelligent technology to strengthen their skills and also contribution to the workforce?
So I have a very privileged role being in Washington and receiving Saudi students that come to study, but also a lot of these groups that we have, whether it's MISC, Mawhiba, which is the geniuses of the kingdom in engineering and science and technology. They all come through, the students from the University of Mineral and Petroleum, for competitions and engagements and activations. And what I've seen from all of these young people is, yes, their engagement with technology, but they are using the technology to apply it to the careers that they have chosen, whether they're coming into industrial. We have Prince Sultan from the Industrial Development Fund here, whether it's going into mineral mining, whether it's going into tourism. They are literally at age 18, 19, and 20 coming up with the innovations that they are creating their future jobs. And that's fascinating to me. I had kids who came for a drone competition, and I kid you not, 2/3 of the componentry of the drones that they were about to enter into competition didn't even make it into Washington, D.C. They went to the hardware store, bought their componentry, assembled it within 24 hours, and won first place the next day. That blew my mind. We have kids that are coming up to me and talking to me about the innovations that they're doing to solve for cancer, to solve for Alzheimer's. Again, 18, 19, and 20. And why is that happening? It's because as a nation, we have given them the tools and the resources to truly believe that their ambition is possible in their own country. We've given them the access to the education, whether it's in country or out. And the choice that they are making is to take all of this energy and bring it home. We were talking this morning about what is the value of the human capital that we are all investing in. The value is taking technology and innovation, but on a human scale to better all lives, not just one life, all lives. And that innovation really bleeds globally across sectors, and I see it every single day with these kids that are coming out to us, and then they're coming home. And I think that's just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. And another testimonial, I think the Saudi students in MIT today ranked the second international student just right after China, and this is a clear testimonial of the effort that is happening in the kingdom. We'll move now from multi-generations to multilateral. Your Excellency Al-Khatib, the kingdom is very active on the global agenda of tourism. We've seen the UN tourism meeting in the kingdom a few months back. What role is Saudi Arabia playing, especially in the global tourism agenda when it comes to skilling people and protecting the workforce?
Yeah, thank you, Anas, for asking this very important question, because travel and tourism is a global, it's not a local industry. When you land at any airport, you'll find all the different flags, of carriers and airlines. And when you go to a city, you'll find all kind of hotels, American hotels and European hotels, etc. And therefore, it's a very global industry. When we launched Vision 2030 back in 2016, travel and tourism was one of the sectors that the government wants to unlock and to drive in order to create jobs, increase the resilience of the economy and diversify our economy. And therefore, we assessed the situation back in 2016 and we put the goal for 2030 to move the tourism contribution to GDP from 3 to 10 by 2030, and the jobs from about 3 to 10 by 2030. And we stand in both today at 5% of the economy and the jobs. And therefore, we said we cannot operate alone in Saudi Arabia. We have to see who are the other stakeholders among the private and the public sector. By the way, this is a private sector-led sector. The governments regulate. However, the private sector build the experiences, build the hotels, build the airports, the airlines, and operate it and invest in it. And therefore, we have to make sure that the private sector in the travel and tourism industry is a very important partner. We cannot put any regulations without working closely with the private sector to make sure that the new regulations will enable the private sector to progress. And most of the private sector is listed companies, and therefore they need to make sure that we are not preventing them, we're enabling them to perform better. And therefore, we worked with the UN Tourism, which is the United Nations agency that takes care of the tourism at a global level, with 100 about 70 member states. We hosted the first regional office in Riyadh for the UN Tourism for the Middle East regions, where the Middle East is about 13 states. And also we are working closely with the private sector, the World Travel and Tourism Council. And recently we signed an MOU, an agreement with the WEF to expand tourism within the WEF. And I think we are completely aligned with the president, with Borgheh, to invest in tourism and make it bigger, because it represents 10% of the global jobs and 10% of the global economy. And therefore, tourism is very important. Tourism is very complicated because it's cross-cutting. It covers airlines, airport, retail, food and beverage, and tour companies and destination management companies, and so on and so forth. For the players under the umbrella of tourism are diverse, and therefore we need to make them talk together. My biggest challenge today is to convince the airline carriers and manufacturers to build more planes to cater for the more hotels that the hotels operators are building. If we don't have, today Riyadh Airways, if they want to get the next plane, they need to wait for 7, 8, 9 years. And therefore, this is a backlog, and this is a bottleneck. And hotels, they are going full speed, building rooms. Example, Saudi Arabia, we're building 150,000 key rooms to be delivered in the next 5 years. However, we must make sure that the rooms will be built, will be filled by the international travelers through, having enough capacity in airlines and playing this role as the leader to bring everybody in two eyes and make them talk to each other and put their plans together is very important role that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is taking.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Maybe the Kingdom have come a little bit late on tourism, but we came very big, and we've seen the impact that we're doing on a global scale. Now we move to His Excellency Al-Khatib Al-Khrayef. Your Excellency, you've been convening so many events with global partners, with the UNIDO on the industry and FMF on the mining. What are the changes that you anticipate for the global labor market, and what education systems need to do, or at least the relationship between employers and education systems to ensure that we have the alignment and 360 view of the sector?
Well, I think it's very important today to have a robust relation between private sector and the government, as His Excellency has mentioned. The industrial sector and mining is also going to be led by private sector, but we need to ensure that the speed of adaptation, for example, in technology is right. We need to create an ecosystem that's nurturing innovation, that's building the right momentum when it comes to innovation or training or skilling or reskilling. Some countries are in denial, unfortunately, and some who are really being able to see the potential that investing in the right technologies, starting from basic stuff like infrastructure and connectivity to education system, to also to the last mile. We, for example, in our both in mining and industry, we have created so many areas where the ecosystem is building by itself. So we launched the industrial hackathon by the SIDF, for example. We launched the 1,000 mile, the 1 mile program from NIDLib to create that momentum, the relation between private sector, especially large companies and innovators. We created in the ministry the Advanced Manufacturing Center. We have the program for the Advanced or Future Factories program. This is all efforts by the government to ensure that the momentum is moving fast, because sometimes private sector will be shying and will need a support from government programs like training, for example, or building the right centers. We are working very closely with different universities today, with research centers. We have a program with King Fahd Petroleum University. We created a mining engineering department with King Abdulaziz University. We have created and launched last week the mining school, Saudi mining school, to focus on geology and so on. So it has to be a collective. And I think I would like to also just close by the role of the private sector. So the last day of the Future Mineral Forum, we normally have a breakfast with all the CEOs of the big, large companies. And it's very important that they have, as part of their agenda, clear role how they are going to allow these new technologies, innovations, and innovators to come test their and test and pilot their ideas. I think Her Royal Highness mentioned, the kind of talent that we have today. But if this talent doesn't get converted into commercialization or given an opportunity, at least at real case in different companies and locations, and we are working very close with our global champions and national champions like SABIC, Aramco, Ma'aden, STC, the electricity company, to ensure that part of what they are doing is allowing entrepreneurs and innovators to test their ideas and endorse these ideas. Some of these ideas also need to be collected, because technologies are not a standalone. We need to they come together to make a great thing happen. So I emphasize the importance of private sector. The new installations, for example, today we are very blessed. Also, we don't have the legacy as a country. So any new project, sizable projects, we ensure that we look at what kind of technology is being used. Are we investing in the future? How much can we bring this? How can we bring different technologies to work and coexist with each other to increase the value addition of these technologies? It could be large scale, it could be small scale, it could be in services, in logistics, and so on and so forth. So I want to just close by saying that creating the right ecosystem for the young generation is a very important role of governments, and I'm happy to see this happening in Saudi Arabia. And definitely, this is the right investment for the future.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's a collective responsibility, investors and employers, as well as regulators and the education and training ecosystem. Now we move to our last question with you, Sadia. You just mentioned that countries are aware, and we're trying to look at what scenarios we need to adapt. So awareness is no longer the bottleneck. What needs to happen to strengthen the collaboration and coordination on the human skills globally?
So one element is we need to know what we are reskilling and retraining people for. So what are those new economy skills? There are, of course, a number of sector-specific skills that are incredibly important, but we've tried to work with business leaders over this last year to understand what generically is required across the new economy. One, people-centric skills. So people need to know how to be able to collaborate with each other, work with each other, and have the kinds of relationships that move things forward rather than competing. Second, we need more technology and AI-focused skills. Some of this is about basic digital skills, and some of this is about much more specialized artificial intelligence-related skills, but application of AI, not a generic understanding of how to use ChatGPT, but really going much beyond that. Third, business skills. There are too many young people that come out of colleges and universities and that don't have basic business skills. We need to ensure that they have that. Fourth is vocational training and skilling. That is, again, another incredibly important element. And then finally, last of all, green and sustainability skills. There's still a huge demand for that from every sector, from tourism through to professional services. So with skills, the second element is we all need the same language around skills, right? So if we don't have a common taxonomy, it becomes very hard to be able to have the same language between employers, learners and workers, and governments. And then finally, last, we need a much more dynamic system for adult learning and lifelong learning. There have been very good progress in primary education, secondary education, in colleges and universities, but unless we also create a dynamic lifelong learning system, it will be very hard to keep up with the changes of the new economy. So those are some of the insights that we've been gathering, and I very much hope that we can continue these conversations in our spring meeting in Jeddah in a few months' time.
Thank you, Sadia. I think a global language for skills and skill taxonomy, as well as embracing lifelong learning. Hopefully, we'll discuss it more in Jeddah during the spring meetings, and also in the Human Capability Initiative that is coming in May in Riyadh. Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, Ms. Sadia, for your time, and thanks for the audience. Thank you.
Of that session. So we would like to continue our human code, what's going on in AI and human code and human capability. I would like to welcome our esteemed guests. So, hi everyone, my name is Badour Reyes. I am the Deputy CEO of the Human Capability Development Program, one of the Vision 2030 programs. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today, and thank you for having you today. So Engineer Anas and his esteemed guest, they shed a light on a high-level view at what is the intelligent age and the impacting of what have been impacted as a human capability. Today, in the second part, we will go focus again on the human-AI collaboration and how we witness that in the workspace and workforce today, from focusing on the Giga project we have in Saudi Arabia, also in the private sector, and also from tourism and also the telecommunication and urban development. So we will cover all that today. But before I start, I would like to ask a question, if you allow me, and I want to see some hands. So how many of you see AI changing the way we work in our organization or your organization? Can I see some hands? Okay, wow, it seems that AI is coming. So we already see an AI embedded in our work and on our life today. And this is not the only question. I think we have a lot of questions we need to answer in the future. One of them is, looking forward in 2030, how success look like in AI human collaboration? And what are the most essential human code we think we need to have? So this is our session today, and looking forward to our esteemed guests. So I have with me today Mr. Jerry Anzarello, so the Group CEO of the Diriyah company. Welcome. I have with me Engineer Nizar Banabila, CEO of Mobily. Welcome. And I have with me Engineer Rayyan Fayez, the Deputy CEO of Finium. Welcome. So let's start the session. First of all, to ground our discussion, I would like to focus on one of the kingdom's most ambitious project we have, which is Diriyah. So Jerry, Diriyah is a company prides itself as being a human-centric urban development. How do you see the use of AI add operational value to and stay consistent with Diriyah people-focused development policy?
Yeah, thank you. Salam alaikum. Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you. And when I grow up, I want to be an engineer as well. That's my aspiration with AI. Diriyah, as you know, is the birthplace of the kingdom. It's the home of Al Saud. But more importantly, it's the source of Saudi identity and Saudi pride. We now, 7 years later, have a staff of 3,000 people. The average age of our staff is 31. You take me out, it probably goes to 20. It probably goes to 24. But what I'm saying about that is that it is a very high-powered, dynamic, youthful staff. 82% of our staff Saudi, 39% Saudi women, 16% in management, and what I'm most proud of, 14% of our staff from our community of Diriyah. So our team are very fired up, very energetic. But Princess Rima, who is just here, Her Royal Highness, is a giant role model to all of us, as you are. You know how much we respect and love you. And she always focuses on human capital and human capability. I do too. We have said since day one that Diriyah would always be a cultural institution, not in terms of cultural and heritage, in terms of our own internal place. But we have to embrace all of technology, and we're using AI very formidably right now on what would benefit the guest experience, the human experience, and the development of our own people. But on the other hand, we want people to come and witness, first off, Saudi hospitality, and to see 300 years of history in the way we sing, the way we dance, the way we cook, the way we dress. This is imperative that, you know, my friend, the musician Sting, he said, we may not share the same ideology, but we share the same biology. So there is that human connection that tourism embraces. So we fully embrace technology as long as it promotes humanity and civilization. These are things we practice every day at Diriyah.
Thank you, Jerry. And I like the way you promote humanity and embrace civilization. This is a great way to start. And I think we will move from attraction point where we'll plan to gather 1 million to telecommunication area that will on a daily basis attract millions. So Engineer Nizar, so starting from your recently announced strategy at Mobily, what's called Shine, and congratulations on that, where AI is enabled and it's a significant enabler in that. Do you believe that AI will have a role in a human capability development?
So, Dr. First, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity here in the Saudi House. And really, it's a great pleasure that Mobily supporting today to present the lovely Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And as what you rightly mentioned, Mobily announced its new strategy, which is called Shine. In a very simple way, it's 5 main pillars, which is first, how can we strengthen our customer experience? Secondly, how can we increase the different products and services for the consumer. And thirdly, how can we enrich the enterprise, being in the government or large enterprise or SME? And fourth, how can we have a very strong navigation on our digital infrastructure? And the fifth, which is the subject of what we are discussing today, which is the operating excellence. So when we look at these 5 main pillars, we found out that AI is actually horizontally crossing all of these 5 pillars. And to make sure that we speak about the subject that we are touching today, of how much this touching the capital human and how much is necessarily to develop them in this case, I'll give you a real example that we have done during Hajj season in 2025. So we adopted the AI in a way that it can take thousands of different operations and actions and decisions during Hajj to increase the efficiency. If you think about the increase that happened in our 5G network, it's 122% in 1 year, which is massive amount of data. And that's where AI helped us to improve our operation by 40%. And that couldn't be achieved without an AI. So it is so important to understand how can you develop your human capital in the company to understand how can we do such a thing. So the first thing that we adopt through 3 main layers, number one, how can you automate so many tasks that give the right freedom to your team to focus more on much more complex and strategic areas. And that's where we tried our best to make sure this kind of routines and tasks done by the AI so they have the freedom to do the other strategic thing. The second thing, which is how can you upsell and upskills your team so they can understand how they can utilize it. And the third one, of course, which is hiring the right team members with the right skills who can really utilize the AI to be part of their job. So these 3 things, of course, help us in the organization and made sure that AI, as I said, part of all what we are trying to do is always embedded.
Thank you, Engineer Zahil, and great and ambitious one. And looking forward to have your experience later on and talk about how you upskill these people to use an AI. So moving also from the telecom and large one, we will go to the large region we have now in Saudi, the NEOM. NEOM is already embedding AI from the start of the beginning, and maybe Engineer Rayyan, NEOM has highlighted that AI can be positive drive force for society and economy. From your perspective, how AI and emerging technology will be woven into NEOM and to augment a human capability in our life, in our the way we work and everything.
Thank you very much, Dr. Budur, for inviting me here, and always a pleasure to be with the esteemed panelist today. I think the topic of AI has been a recurring theme in, whether it's Davos, FII, any of the big events over the last few years. We're proud today in NEOM to see that planning translate into real action and real projects. As the kingdom develops itself as an AI and data hub globally, NEOM is also working very hard in attracting tenants and attracting companies to build that AI infrastructure. NEOM, actually, from an infrastructure perspective and an AI perspective, is privileged to be in a very attractive situation, and we have very strong competitive advantages when it comes to building an AI infrastructure. Our location being where, and I'm sure Engineer Nizar knows this very well, being at where the subsea cable connecting the kingdom to the rest of the world lands in NEOM, helps a lot in building an AI infrastructure very heavily connected to significant digital infrastructures. We are fortunate to have cost-effective renewable energy, whether it's solar or wind, in addition to obviously green hydrogen, which we're building the largest green hydrogen company in the world, and that's more than 80% complete. So that could be also a source of energy that feeds into the infrastructure, and we have abundant land that we can offer for. And that's why we have a deal signed already with Data Vault for building a 1.5 gigawatt AI, green AI factory and hub in data center in NEOM. So what we're doing is actually building the infrastructure that will be deployed into the grid within NEOM and to the kingdom to power new industries within NEOM and within the kingdom, like manufacturing, ports and logistics, and we can talk about that a little bit later, construction, digital twins, AI-driven digital twins. We'll talk about as well other projects that we have built within NEOM that are AI-empowered and now are actually being used and deployed in other PIF projects. So these are, our AI vision today is very much infrastructure-driven. How can we take advantage of the competitive advantage we have in delivering an AI infrastructure that will help not only the kingdom, but also export it to the rest of the world?
Great, and looking forward and seeing that already been developed in NEOM. So going back to the Only Diraya, Jerry. So we will go back to the Only Diraya. For developer from your scale and impact, what kind of capabilities you are looking for people working and successfully to build and manage like urban development like Diraya?
Yes. So the first thing, which is anybody, and you know His Royal Highness so well, everything with him starts with quality of life. Everything with him starts with humanity. Are my people safe? Are they educated? Are they healthy? Are they happy? Self-esteem. Can someone be the best embodiment of where my future is? That's why the kingdom is so unilaterally positive and optimistic now. So everything we do is to make sure that our community of Diraya strives, that the kingdom strives, and that people now can come from all over the world to see a rich and generous culture in a staggeringly beautiful country. Now, with AI, it's helped us because just at the UNESCO World Heritage Site about today, in December, we just crossed the threshold of welcoming 4 million people. But AI gives us thousands of data points of what those guests really liked. Not only our own guests, our community of Diraya and our fellow Saudi brothers and sisters, but now we have data points all day long. What I liked, what I would like to see in the future. It's changing our priorities of what we're introducing in terms of type of hotels, type of restaurants, type of museum experiences. From an infrastructural point of view, which Ryan was saying, we now have planted over 6.5 million trees, shrubs, and bushes. And thanks to AI now, we know exactly how much water we need per plant, per area. And because we put in full new AI-driven irrigation systems to capture the water when the Wadi floods, we're using no more water now than we did 6 years ago. So from an infrastructural point of view, AI has been a great enabler. From a development point of view, a great enabler. From guest feedback point of view. Now, someone can come to Diraya, book their hotel, book their restaurant, know where their car is, all on their handheld, know what entertainment is, what experiences there are, and give us their feedback immediately, which we process, which helps us make decisions on how to entertain, educate, and keep our people happy. So we're already deploying it because last night with Diraya season, we did 3,200 covers in Bijari, Zalal, and Layali Diraya. Well, we measured that guest experience. What happened with traffic? What happened with parking? You know, so that's where AI has been very valuable for us already.
I like the way that we experience already when we go to Diraya, how this data will be collected and analyzed to improve the experience of people. Thank you so much, Jerry. And I would be interested to see what telecommunication will do about capability. What kind of skills you think, Engineer Nizar, you're looking for to scale and integrate AI among different sectors, either the operators or the telecom operators?
Thank you so much, Doctor. To be much more specific, I'll give you a real case, an example that we did work in Mobile. And it's a common, I say, challenge that you will find it in most of the big organizations, which is the physical verification for your assets. So when you think about a company similar to Mobile that have 14,000 towers, 422 different retail and shops, which is a massive network, and the impact of your assets on your financials and your P&L is massive, and how you can manage all of this. So what we have done on our towers, the team, they adopted AI to understand all the movement that happen across the 14,000 all of the time. And this by itself give us the great value on our financials to understand what's the impact for our assets. Now, is it something related just only to the technology that you are adopting? No, it's not the case. Most of the people, they think that AI is a solution that you can just only bring it and it will solve everything. It's not. It's actually a culture. You need to make sure that across all the functions, starting from marketing, sales, HR, technology, finance team, administration, speak the same language and understanding of how we can utilize the AI to drive such a value. And of course, it may start by having the right data analysts, the right developers, all of these people, but they have to adopt the DevOps concept, which is they sit together and understand what kind of problem we are trying to solve. What's the impact of what we are trying to solve? And then you start making sure that the level of sophistication that they go through all of the time become a challenge. And every single time, leadership in the organization should walk the talk and help them to come over this challenge. And then from there, you'll start seeing the value. It's not about I'm bringing the smartest people in one room. It's about I'm bringing the most collective team. They work together to make sure they can have that aim in their mind and achieve it. So to answer you, it's more of an ecosystem that you have to bring it across all the level of the organization and making sure every single time, bring them back to the focus of what you want to achieve.
Thank you, Engineer Nizar. So working in ecosystem is important to collaboratively work and bringing a great ideas, not just only for AI, for any project we will work on. Great. So maybe we go to Engineer Rayan and working on that, having technology and human-centric on the heart of NEOM. From your leadership standpoint of view, what key innovation or lesson been emerged from NEOM could mostly significantly strengthen the human capability, and maybe businesses will be globally shared in the intelligent age?
First, I just want to say that human capability and investment in human capability is at the core of what we do. We have a program, a scholarship program for people from the Tabuk region. We now have, I think, 700 and change in universities, and we had the first batch graduate earlier this last year and are now enrolled within NEOM. So the investment in human capability and the specializations and what they study, as you can see, it's mainly in the STEM field and the engineering field, precisely to adopt to what is expected in terms of delivery and specializations within NEOM. I want to talk about 3 concrete examples today where such innovations was born out of NEOM. We have actually a NEOM-built platform called GroundX. This is a platform it's an AI-empowered, NEOM is a very large region, so we have AI-empowered tracking and imaging system for all of the construction sites. And it's such a powerful tool that is now being explored and considered to be commercialized and being used with other projects within the kingdom. And inshallah, at some point, we have an ambition to take it abroad. The second example is we're building the first automated port terminal and crane operation within the kingdom, and it's first of its kind. The first cranes have already been delivered, and it's being tested as we speak. And the part that we're proud about is actually operating these cranes is happening, as His Excellency Mr. Khrayef mentioned earlier, in Chile, where he saw people sitting in a head office. It's operated by 10 women from the Tabuk region who have been trained to operate these cranes remotely using automated systems. This creates an opportunity where you can actually, maybe a port terminal is not very much female friendly, it's not friendly for, it's a rough environment, but where we are now is we have them operating these terminals from a very hygienic, very safe place, and actually the capability and the training that they're getting is very much adapted to the specialization that we're talking about. So there are a lot of opportunities like this coming out of NEOM, actual opportunities, and it's not a plan or a future opportunity, and we can't wait to showcase this to the rest of the world.
Great, and looking forward also to that. So maybe we have, since we have a shortage of time, I have one more question, and would like to hear your opinion about it. So in one sentence, what are the most essential human skills, human code, that we need in the intelligent age? So I start with you, Jerry.
That we keep our ability to see each other, to recognize each other, to listen to each other. Imperative to the human experience.
Great. How about Engineer Nizar?
I think for a long period of time, we were looking at the engineers as the one who's always, find the solution and solve the problems. But today, with the amount of data, I think from my point of view, data analysts, they will be the leader because they will understand the data and they can take a very informative decision based on that.
Great. Engineer Ryan?
From my perspective, it's empathy. I think it's the most human part that you cannot replace with AI. I think the physical and social connections, a room like this can never be replicated by AI. And I think having that human connection is really what we should not lose sight of as we go into the world of digital and AI.
Totally agree, and thank you everyone. And it stands out from our session today that what we can see is technology and AI is moving quickly, and our responsibility is to keep moving human capability with that and even advancing that. So looking forward to see you all. In May next year, we're having the Human Capability Initiative in Riyadh. We will go deeper and we talk about ideas and action and how we move forward the human code. Thank you, our esteemed panelists and esteemed guests, and looking forward to see you again. Thank you so much. Thank you.